Hello everyone and welcome back to Tablemon History number 3. Thanks so much for tuning in. So today we're gonna cover the 2004 unofficial Mexico National Championship, aka the Gym Challenge, the one tournament that the whole country had in order to send a representative to the Pokemon World Championships, the first one held by Pokemon, no longer in charge of Wizards of the Coast. This was the first tournament by Pokemon. I was, I believe, 15 years old back then. This was 2004. I was born in 88. I had just turned 16 actually. I had just turned 16 years of age. I was really excited. I was coming off from a very strong city championship and state championship run. Blaziken EX was the dominating card and dominating deck of the format. If you weren't playing Blaziken, you had to counter it, yeah? And one of the big counters that this deck had was slacking, yeah? Slacking from Ruby and Sapphire prevented abilities from being used. You had, they had 4 of the boost energies to cover the attack. So one of the counter decks to Blaziken was Blaziken slacking, right? Everyone was combining Blaziken with everything. And so what I started noticing towards the Gym Challenge was that everyone was starting to be super greedy with their stage 1s, right? The game was getting faster, people were getting greedier, and they were not running more than one Combusken, and they weren't even running any Vigoroth in their decks. They were running a 2-2 line of slacking, and that was it. So they were being extremely greedy, and what I figured was, okay, if people are wasting away their rare candies, right? Remember that at this time there's no open deck list, like the game is very small at this time, there's very little transfer of information, there's no deck side articles, there's no YouTube. So I came up with this incredible tech, which was the 1 Mysterious Fossil and the 1 Omastar. So back then, Ancient Technical Machine Rock had not been released yet, but we did have Omastar to use the attack pull down, which read your opponent takes all their highest evolved Pokemon and you put them back into their hand. So that means if you have a Blaziken on top of a Torchic, the Blaziken goes back into your hand, but the rare candy, it has already been used. So that was a way to just immediately get rid of your opponent's whole setup basically. And that was insanely good. Like that tech alone won me pretty much every single Blaziken mirror match that I faced off in the tournament. I don't remember exactly what I played against. I don't remember exactly like how the matches went. I do remember though that I got to finals and I was super excited. I actually got to finals against one of my best friends from Pokemon. I've known him for 20 years as well. He's called Miguel. You must have, like, if you've ever been to World Championships, he's always around. He's qualified more times than I have, yeah, and we'll get to that as part of the Tablemon history, why I haven't played in every World Championship. But yeah, I got to final against him. I handily beat him 2-0 thanks to the Omastar attack. He was playing Blaziken slacking, I believe, and the Omastar put in the weight, and it was amazing. Yeah, it felt amazing to win the Gym Challenge. I was to be the first representative of the whole country, right? I was going to represent Mexico at the World Championships, and now I will say that, like, back then I was like the nerdy guy in school. Like people were like, well, you play Pokemon, why do you play Pokemon? Like, oh, you play the kids card game. Like playing Pokemon was definitely not something that was cool, right? And back then when you're a teenager and you care too much, right, too much about other people's opinions, sometimes you let that get to you, right? But you really shouldn't. Yeah, if you're a teenager watching, what matters the most is what you enjoy doing, what makes you happy. That is all that matters in life. Yeah, and I wish our brains understood that way sooner in any aspect of our life, or at least for, like, I wish I understood that way sooner than when I finally understood it, right? So overall, I was really happy, right? I won my booster boxes and I was going to the World Championships. And so I started working with my team, the same team that created Queendom. Yeah, this was Adam Capriola, the founder of 6 Prizes, Jeremy Marin, the 2005 World Champion, and myself. Yeah, it was the trio. The trio. We had some other people join in and out of the team, but it was us 3 that really put our brains together and worked on decks for like 2 or 3 years straight. And yeah, We started preparing for the World Championships, but the big obstacle for me, okay, as a Mexican, right, I'm sure a lot of people are aware of that, Mexicans are not exactly easily welcomed into the United States, right? You need a visa to be able to travel to the United States if you are from Mexico. So at that time, I had never traveled outside the country, okay? Never, ever, ever. So I had never needed a passport, and I had never gotten a US visa, right? So obviously the day after the tournament, that was Sunday, like on Monday I started nagging my parents, like, okay, what's the next step? How do I get the passport? How do I get the visa? Blah blah blah, right? Like, I'm a very intense person. I started bugging them every day, and we started working on the process. So step number one was getting the passport, right? In order to apply for a visa, you need a valid passport. So we went to the passport office, and turns out that in my birth certificate, okay, my dad's name was not spelled fully, okay? So my dad's name is Samuel Alejandro Mesa Guzman, okay? So 4, yeah? In Mexico, we use 2 last names, and my dad had a first name and a middle name. Well, my birth certificate only had Samuel Mesa Guzman. Therefore, yeah, like, we got to a passport place, and they were saying, like, no, this is not the same person, because the ID that my dad showed since I was a minor said Samuel Alejandro Mesa Guzman, and my birth certificate didn't have the second name, or maybe it was the other way around, but there was one name missing from one document and the other did have it, and they were like, nope, this is not the same person, sorry, these documents are not valid. So we left the passport place. Like, I was in tears, right? I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna lose the trip. I won't be able to go to Worlds. I won't be able to meet all the friends that I talked to online. So back then, I hadn't met anyone in real life, right? I was talking to Puka, right? I met Kyle Sukevich, Puka, at the first World Championship. Michael Pramawat, you know? So many people I met for the first time ever. Mike Fouché, so many people I met for the first time ever at the World Championship. And I was like very sad obviously, like, I just got rejected from a passport, and without a passport you can't get a visa, without a passport you can't travel, so what do you do, right? So we ended up having to go through a notary, right, that gave us like this like a document disc that said that my dad was the same person in the ID as the birth certificate, and that he used that like name sometimes without the Alejandro, and sometimes without the Alejandro and with, and like 20 other different variations just in case. And so we went to a different passport place, right? One that was actually a lot farther from my house, but it was also a lot emptier. And we got there and they saw the documents and were like, you don't need this. So in the end, we didn't end up needing it. They trusted that my dad was actually my dad. And I got my passport, right? So I got my passport, and then awesome. Next step, the visa, right? So that same day I called, I made an appointment. Back then there was no website for the US visa. You had to call. The call cost like, I don't know, $20 because it was like sort of long distance. Like, that sounds, right now in 2021, making long distance calls is like, what? Right? But back then that was the process. And so I called the visa, I made an appointment for myself, my mom, and my brother, because all 3 of us were traveling. My dad was not coming with us. And we got our appointment. We got to the US Embassy. They interviewed my mom. We talked about the Pokemon prize that I had won. She had been to the US before. She had an expired visa. So everything went very smoothly, and they told us, perfect. You will get, and now the time frame, I won the tournament in May, around my birthday, right, around May 25th. And so this happened around June, and the visa was going to take around 2 months, right? And the World Championship was in August. So it was going to be a very tight time frame. And the time frame they gave us, there was a solid chance that I was not going to get the visa in time for Worlds, right? Obviously, like, you know that I did go to Worlds because I've talked about it. The visa arrived 3 days prior to the event, right? 3 days. I had my tickets. We had the hotel, but we didn't have the visa yet. And as every day passed, and I didn't get the visa in the mail, my hopes were doing like this, right? My hopes were going down. And then when the day arrived, like, I so remember like the emotions when I opened the visa. I got my card. I was like, I get to go to the Pokemon World Championships, right? And I'm telling you, back then, like, Pokemon was my life. I was obsessed with it. I would sleep, eat, dream Pokemon every day, every single hour of the day. I would be, during classes in high school, I would be writing down deck lists and deck lists and deck lists and coming up with new ideas for worlds. And then during the summer, I played like 8 hours straight on the apprentice program that I mentioned. It was an amazing time, right? And that takes us to the first ever Pokemon World Championships by Pokemon in 2004 in Orlando, Florida. And that will be Tablemon History episode number 4. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you're enjoying my ramblings and this sort of blog and pieces of history for the last 20 years of myself playing Pokemon. Let me know what you think. I'm enjoying recording this. It's nice to share these experiences, right? It's something that I never get asked about, something that like I've lived, but I haven't really talked about. So it's nice to put this in video, and then maybe, who knows, right? Show people who might be interested in me. Like, look, yeah, you want to learn more about the origins of Tablemon, the history of Tablemon. Here you go. You know? Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to leave a like. Make sure you subscribe, because half of you who watch the videos are not subscribed, and I don't understand. And we're trying to get to 20,000 subscribers. It would be amazing to get to 20,000 by my birthday on May 25th. So if you're hesitant on subscribing, it would be really, really cool. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.